Once Saudas went to live in the forest, where he killed a man-eater, Rakshasa, but forgave and released the man-eater's brother. That brother, however, decided to take revenge. Thinking to harm the king, he became the cook at the king's house. One day, the king's spiritual master, Vasishtha Muni, was invited for dinner, and the Rakshasa cook served him human flesh. While examining the food given to him, Vasishtha Muni, by his mystic power, could understand that it was unfit to eat, being the flesh of a human being. He was very angry at this and immediately cursed Saudas to become a man-eater. When Vasishtha understood that the human flesh had been served by the Rakshasa, not by the king, he undertook 12 years of austerity to cleanse himself for having cursed the faultless king. Meanwhile, King Saudas, by water, enchanted this mantra, preparing to curse Vasishtha. But his wife, Mahatyanti, forbade him to do so. Then the king saw that the 10 directions, the sky and the surface of the globe, were full of living entities everywhere. Saudas thus acquired the propensity of a man-eater and received on his leg a black spot, for which he was known as Kalmashapad. Once King Kalmashapad saw a Brahmin couple engage in sexual intercourse in the forest. Being influenced by the propensity of a Rakshasa, being very hungry, King Saudas seized the Brahmin. Then the poor woman, Brahma's wife, said to the king, "O hero, you are not actually a man-eater. Rather, you are among the descendants of Maharaj Ikshvaku. Indeed, you are a great fighter, the husband of Damayanti. You should not act irreligiously in this way. I desire to have a son. Please therefore return my husband, who has not yet impregnated me." O king, O hero, this human body is meant for universal benefits. If you kill this body untimely, you will kill all the benefits of human life. Is that it, or?
No, actually, till 30.
Till 30. Okay, here is a learned, highly qualified Brahmin, engaged in performing austerity and eagerly desiring to worship the super soul who lives within the core of the heart in all living entities. My Lord, you are completely aware of the religious principles, as a son never deserves to be killed by his father. Here is a Brahmin who should be protected by the king and never killed. How does he deserve to be killed by a Rajarshi like you? 3-0. Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hi, Ram. Come here. It's his birthday today. Haribol. To you. Hare Krishna. To you. Hare Krishna, dear Rama. Hare Krishna to you. Haribol. Thank you. You can take a seat. And we have our divine couple over here. It's their wedding anniversary, 13th wedding anniversary. Happy wedding anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, wedding anniversary of the 13th. And may there be a few more 13s to come. Pardon?
It's Rowan's birthday.
Oh, it's Rowan's birthday too, as well. It's Rowan's birthday as well. It's Rowan's birthday as well. That guy is really swell. He is. I'm just going to take a little bit of this. Well, some milestones. Text 30. The dynasty of Anshuman. So young Brahmarshi Varyaste. Rajasi Pravarad Vibho Katam Arhati Dharmagya Vadang Pitur Evatmajaha Soyang Brahmarshi Varyaste Rajashi Pravarad Vibho Katam Arhati Dharmagya Vadang Pitur Evatmajaha. So instead of going like this and that, because it's, you know, where the seating arrangement is a little odd, we'll just start with you. Was that okay?
Soyam Brahma Rishi Varyaste.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste.
Rajarshi Pravarat Vibho.
Rajashi Pravarat Vibho.
Katam Arhati Dharmagya.
Katam Arhati Dharmagya.
Vadam Peturivatmaja.
Vadam Pitrivatmaja.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste. Ram, you get it.
Rajarshi Pravarad Vibho.
Rajashi Pravarat Vibho. You, grandfather.
Katam Harasi Dharmagya.
Katam Arhati Dharmagya.
Vadam Pitu Vivatmaja.
Vadam Pitur Evatmaja.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste.
Rajashri Parvat Vibho.
Rajasi Pravarat Vibho. Katam Arhati Dharmagya.
Vadam Pitur Evatmaja.
Vadam Pitur Evatmaja.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste.
Rajarshi Pravarat Vibho.
Rajashi Pravarat Vibho.
Katam Arhati Dharmagya.
Katam Arhati Dharmagya.
Vadam Pitu Jadmacha.
Vadam Pitur Evatmaja.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varyaste. Rajashi Pravarat Vibho. Katam Arhati Dharmagya. Vadam Pitur Evatmaja. Saha, he, the Brahmana, Ayam, this, Brahma Rishi Varyaha, not only a Brahmin, but the best of great sages, or Brahma Rishis. Te, also from you, Raja Rishi Pravarat, who are the best of all saintly kings, O Rajarshis, Vibho, O Master of the State, Katam, how, Arhati, he deserves, Dharmagya, O you, who are quite aware of religious principles, Vadam, killing, Pituhu, from the Father, Eva, like, Atmajaha, the Son. Translation. We'll do this together, okay? My Lord, you are completely aware of the religious principles. As a son never deserves to be killed by his father. And never killed. How does he deserve to be killed by a Rajarshi like you? Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Thank you very much. The word Rajarshi refers to a king.
Brahma.
Brahma.
I'm a bird. An owl. Who? Yeah. Okay. Who behaves like a Rajarshi or sage. Such a king is also called Naradeva because he is considered a representative of the Supreme Lord. Because his duty is to rule the kingdom, to maintain Brahminical culture, he never desires to kill a Brahman. Generally, a Brahman and also a woman,
Kids.
child,
Old.
old man, or is never regarded as punishable. Thus, the wife of the Brahmin requested the king to refrain from this sinful act. Jai, Hare Krishna, that's it. Haribo, thanks for helping. It's a short purport. I would have liked another one, but that's okay. All right. Okay, we're not going to concentrate too much on the storyline and the genealogical table because it gets very complicated. It's just, I always look and read to see where I can find new material for dramas. I don't think this is one, to be honest with you. I put it at a secondary level in my, for my, projections only because it's too complicated and no one will understand, Okay, but let's just concentrate on some of the words here, as Prabhupada usually does with purports. He said, this word is significant, that word is significant, this word is significant. So the first word that's highlighted is Rajarshi. This word appears in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, right? And did I say it right? Okay. Fourth verse where the Lord explains the origin, let's say, how this information of tattva, ultimate truth, has been sort of streamlined through a chain of disciplic succession. It's a chain or it's a rope, And when we think about chains, I usually think of trains, and how trains are, like one, you have the engine, you have the caboose, at the end, and then you have all these cars in between. And there's so much folklore out there about train stories, like almost like Huckleberry Finn and the Lake Mississippi River, so many stories like enduring train. And by the way, I told my brother was on the phone. It was his birthday on May the 17th. So us siblings got together and we talked a little bit about each other. And I said, by the way, when I was, hitchhiking from Vancouver back to Toronto, I hitched a train. It was common in those days. Hitchhiking was common. It was popular. And I got on a train at White River, which is where the original Winnie the Pooh was found. Winnie the Pooh is a real bear. I just want to let you know. And it was a girl bear. And she was a cub. And she was on the, like a collar leash, with someone. And someone by some colonel who was with the First World War in Winnipeg was on the train, got off at White River, and he saw this cute little cub. Said, how much? Yeah. And it was $20. Now $20 then, 100 years ago, 2000, maybe, right? He fell in love with the cub. Now I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I just have to tell you a nice Canadian story. So he was assigned to go to Europe, to France actually, and so he took the cub with him and he dropped him off at the London Zoo, and that's where the zoo, our people took notice, and Milne, who's the author of Winnie the Pooh, was the name of the bear, took off from there. Now Winnie, because this colonel, he's from Winnipeg, so we call it Winnie, okay? And it was a girl bear, and in those days, kids were allowed to, ride on the bear because it was very domesticated. Okay, now I was talking about hitching a train. For me, trains are a lot, and I also tried to hitch a train in Calgary, and the police caught us. I didn't know it was the wrong thing to do. Everyone just did it, so I spent a night in jail. Hare Krishna. with a friend from Connecticut. Okay, so that's part of the episode. Trains, to me, when I hear a train in the distance and I'm walking in the country, to me it's like someone playing a harmonium, That's what it sounds like to me. And I met some guys in Saskatchewan, I am working on the railroad. I just started to sing that song, and the train was right here and the road was right there. So we got to talking. By the way, the importance of getting out there in the world brings results. So I gave him my email address, the one main guy heading up the repairman, and he emailed me some weeks later, So that's wonderful. Okay, you got to get out there for those. Okay, so that's one thing. Rajarshi, let's discuss what that is. Raja and Rishi, two words melted together, isn't it? Raja means king, Rishi means sage. You might think that these are two opposites, that a sage is like this, quiet, and a king is like this, he's ready to kill. How can you bring these two people together? Well, when I was walking in Edmonton, there was myself and Garud Vahan. We were walking in our traditional clothes like this, and it was rush hour. It was during the week, and the traffic was going a little bit slow on the Yellowwood Highway, and some officers came from this side and that side, east and west. They came, one went over the median, and the sirens were going, they were speeding, and they stopped in front and behind us. And I said to Garud, I don't know what we did wrong here. We're just walking. Well, they certainly can't catch us for speeding. So, one officer, he came out in the front. He said, okay, don't worry about a thing. We just wanted to get our picture taken with the walking monk. That's all it was, So then we got to talking. And, all the traffic, like in Alberta especially, they're very fussy about, you got to slow down. When there's police or ambulances, you got to slow down or you'll get in trouble. And so everyone was slowing down, and we were taking pictures on the side of the road and laughing and joking with each other. So people were coming in and saying, what kind of accident happened here? And then what's this going, these guys and the two monks talking to two officers, and they seem to be having a nice time. So it was like that. So the discussion was with the police officers. I said, me and my partner here, we're Brahmins in our tradition, like priests, and you two guys are Kshatriyas, And in our tradition, Kshatriyas and, let's say, two kinds of Maharajas. Kshatriyas, the security guys, and the priests, they used to get together quite a bit, because they were on the same page. They needed to be. It was the Brahmins who paved the way. They are the visionaries. Brahminical people are visionaries because they see Brahman. They don't just see a microphone. They don't just see a carpet. They don't even see all these zombies that we have. Oh, excuse me. You see spirit. You're supposed to see spirit. Brahman. That's why the word Brahman means one who understands Brahman, who's connected. And Brahmins are the spiritual masters of the local community. There's Brahmins, once Prabhupada said, you'll find a Brahmin around every corner. Where we were chanting yesterday at High Park, there are Brahmins there. You could, once you start talking to some people, you can see by what they say, or how they conduct themselves. They're Brahminical by nature, and it doesn't have to be a brown-skinned person, to be honest with you. Anybody who's a little perceptive, who's got, sees a little bit beyond, not just there for eating, sleeping, mating, defending, but has a little bit more of a handle on life. Those are Brahmins. And then you got the people who are the Kshatriyas. They're jogging and they're trying to be in good shape and all that stuff to be protected. What's the use in going to a gym and every time you need something, for a piece of furniture to be moved from some guy who's got big biceps and, I can't do anything. I've got a sore back. This is what happens. It's all kind of like superficial a lot of times. Really, people go to the gym for one reason and one reason only, and it is a word that is with 3 letters. Hare Krishna. All right, so we talked about what is a Brahmin, and we talked a little bit about what is a Kshatriya. Kshatriya, Prabhupada gives it really nice in a purport, it delineates on the definition. Kshat means almost like cut. Kshat, cut, or to harm, And Traya, Trayate comes from Trayate, which means to protect from being harmed, being hurt. So that's what Kshatriyas are all about. They're not fighters. People who fight like gangs, they fight for no reason. We're just out here to fight and to, see some blood. But Kshatriyas are not like that. They're trained for something else. They're trained to avoid fights, to step in, and sometimes they do have to put up their dukes, so to speak. Sometimes they do have to take arms. And, when negotiations fail, then the, weapon has to be used. Prabhupada quotes more than once in the Bhagavatam, argumentum ad baculam. And the word argument comes from Latin. And when argument fails, then vaculam, or like vaculam. Vaculam, I guess it refers to some kind of talk. Anyways, the stick has to be used. The sword, the stick, whatever, grenade, whatever. And so this is what a Kshatriya does, a Raja, a Maharaj. His job is he represents the SPG. So you guys are just short forms. I'm going to throw you. I get hurled them all the time. Acronyms. So I'm going to hurl one at you, SPG. What does that mean?
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay. One person got it only. Supreme Personality of Godhead. Believe it or not, the king, the political figurehead, is supposed to represent God. Now, is that the case today?
No.
No. And especially, I won't go there. Okay, so, we have some problems in the world today because in the people who take political roles, they're actually not fulfilling that interest at all, which is the real interest of everyone. The real interest of all humans is to take care of their souls, not their bodies. Yes, the bodies too, but also the soul. Now, we are living in a society that really doesn't, let's say, cater to the needs of the soul. And when you are catering just to the senses, it is basically you're implicated in the law of karma, and that's stated in the Bhagavad Gita also. When you're chasing the senses, you are whimsical and you are entangled in karma. So this is what we want to try to avoid. This is what these 2 classes of people do. That's why they're sometimes considered to be at the top. Sometimes they're a totem pole. How many people like totem poles? Do you know what a totem pole is?
The chocolate?
Can we do a totem pole? Find out what a totem pole is. Images of totem poles. Okay, this is another Canadian lesson, okay? The Haida community on the west coast, just on Vancouver Island, they are big on totem poles. They were, yes.
Sorry, can you spell it, Maharaj?
Totem, T-O-T-E-M, totem poles. Okay, see that? There's the thunderbird, there's, they have totems. This is, and then you have this. You also have Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, which is, what you call linear. This is linear. This is a vertical formation. When we talk about Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, it's horizontal, right? So when you try to understand our philosophy, you sometimes have to appreciate, well, the Brahmins are on top. Why? Because they're the head. They're giving you some direction, you know. So you have to acknowledge that. You have to respect that. And the Kshatriyas are the shoulders, you know, the shoulders and the arms. They're there to protect you. They're there to protect you from harm. Krishna took the role as being like a Kshatriya, you know, by saying, Yudhishthira, I want you to rule. You have to rule because you have this understanding, you know. You're the emblem of Dharma, you know, so I want you to rule. And what's going on now? It's corrupt. We have to do something. We have to cut the umbilical cord, so to speak, you know. So beautiful images, isn't it? And it's a tree just cut up, and then colors are added to it. I'm sure these are all pigments from, Benjamin, paints that you can buy in the store. They would have natural pigments in a normal case. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so just like we're talking about, you have to look at the vertical approach. You also have to look at this approach, going horizontal. And that horizontal means everyone's actually equal. Everyone's spiritual. At the park yesterday, Billy came, gave me, Maharaj, can you give me an idea what verse I can just read to the few people sitting there? It says, Vidyavanaya Sampane Brahmane Gavahaschini Shuni Chaiva Swapakija Pandita Samadarshinaha. Do you know what that means? Shuni, what's a shuni? What's a shuni?
Dog.
Dog, okay. And what's a gavi? Gavi. Gavi, not kavi. Gavi. Somebody said it.
Cow.
Cow. Okay, and what about husky? What's that?
Elephant.
Elephant. Okay. What about a Brahman?
Brahman.
Okay. And what about what is how does it go? Vidyavanaisam. Brahmani Gavahastini. Shuni Chaiva Swapakacha. Means dog eater, like low class. What's lower than we, like in this part of the world, we look at, people eat dogs. Are you kidding me? Eating dogs? And, but what's worse than that, really, honestly? Eating cows and bulls, right? And lambs and chickens. I mean, eating dogs, really? Are you? Hare Krishna. Have you ever been near a dog? They got bad breath. But they do nice services. Okay, so we're just talking about how to view these layers that we sometimes talk about. Some people are abhorred by, don't give me the caste system. Your Bhagavad Gita, it's all about casteism. No, not really. No, you have to look at the full picture, And there's ugly histories out there, not only in India, but maybe even more so, like terrible, bloodthirsty, ugly historical facts about what happened in Europe, With say like the Vatican, there were times it was very corrupt. What about, say, for instance, the Kshatriyas of the time, the kings, Everybody knows. Marie Antoinette, she was the queen, and Louis XIV was her husband. And the public said, enough is enough. Off with their heads. They beheaded them. Of course, there was a basket, I think, at the end. Hare Krishna. So it rolled, and why? Because people were upset with the higher castes who were exploiting the people. And the famous line, you can actually note this, it should be almost like a shloka, okay? Someone said to Marie Antoinette, we don't have any bread. No bread. Get some cake then. Isn't it? It's all sweet and everything, it's got layers of cream and all that, that's real an insult to people. So that's why the public got fed up, and you had the French Revolution happening, all that kind of. There's a lot of exploitation because of the caste system. But actually, if you just continue to look like this and you don't put it like the Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra formation, then you will be upset. You will be upset. But the thing is, You can't have a society that has no direction. There must be direction. And I think people believe in that. There has to be somebody at the top, even democratic system, which Prabhupada called democracy demon crazy. Demon crazy. You have to have someone to represent, usually the majority, and make some decisions. Decisions need to be made. Don't you find that? You can't be decisionless. You can't just meander or wander around without some just direction. Even if you make a decision and it ends up maybe not having been the right one, but you have to make a decision and you have to stick by it, you know. Otherwise, this idea of just, you know, kind of going in circles, it doesn't work. So we have to be decisive, you know. That's what it's all about. And, you know, all of you are encouraged to be decisive, you know, to go through your studies, to go through the BA experience, and to go through, what are the other degrees? You know, all the other degrees, and get yourself well situated, and, you know, try to get settled down with someone, have a family, have a career, and do something. You got to plan. You have to have a plan, you know. Otherwise, plan to fail. What do they say? Fail to plan. Yeah, plan. Yeah, so you've got that choice, you know. So Prabhupada very much wanted us to plan. He wanted us to take directions, you know, from a Brahminical platform, you know, from where the Brahmins are coming, who represent also the SPG. SPG means personality of God. Yeah. Right. How do you like that, SPG? You can use it now, right? And so that's where we're going to go. That's what we need to do. We need direction, you know. Otherwise, you're just a cotton puff. And when the wind blows, you know, little cotton puffs goes in, and another current comes in, and it'll shoot it over in this direction. Another one comes up in the air. And I mean, it's fun to watch, you know, like especially in September when the milkweed opens up. Can you show a milkweed? Okay, and after this, we'll just leave for your questions and comments, okay? Don't be like a milkweed, the seed that's come out of its pod. Okay, this is what milkweed looks like. It's actually monarch butterflies love milkweed. It grows all over the place. And it's one of the best wild vegetables growing, like when it comes up out of the ground. After a while, it becomes poisonous, but in the beginning, it's great. It's so good. I've tried. Okay, let's see what happens when with the pods. Let's see, milkweed pods. Dried out milkweed pods. Dried out. Okay. And the reason why we're looking at this is because the seeds are in the pod. They're little black things, you know? And then there's like a little, almost like a parachute that takes it. The pod opens up and the wind blows it. And so there, see this? These are seeds. Oftentimes they're dark in color, but not in this case. So it opens up and it flies in the air. Now you're going to remember this in the fall when you see this. So, and they fly in the air and they get replanted and become new seeds. And this way, the monarch butterfly, you know, benefits. So we have to really appreciate what the milkweed does. And when you do cut the milkweed, there's a milky substance that comes out. It's all sticky. It's like milk. Don't take it. I warn you, okay? So it looks very beautiful. Let's go back down here, scroll. You know, look at as a green tone, and then it goes dry, and it opens up. And so we don't want to be like a cotton puff, you know, that just gets blown all over the place, you know? You know, we want to be a little more firm, okay? Hare Krishna. Don't let the wind blow you all over the place, which is Maya, okay? Good, so thank you very much. Now we'll go for some questions or comments, okay? Reflections. Reflections of the way life used to be. Okay, yes.
Thank you for the beautiful class, Maharaj. My question was, we've seen so many examples of Raja Rishis in Bhagavatam. In the recent times, do you have any examples of people who are close to Raja Rishis? Maybe not 100%, but almost there.
Oh, you want me to name somebody?
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Okay.
But I'll give you a hint, in the land of Bharat, there's somebody who's doing some fairly okay things.
Do we have any here?
Uh,
Western part?
We shall see. Wait a little bit. People are very quick to judge now. This is very bad. They're very quick to judge, but wait. We shall see. But Srila Prabhupada did want leaders. He wanted some devotees to actually be leaders in the political field, but and to promote, dharmic values and things like that. And we tried in the 70s. It was 1974, I think it was. Prabhupada started the In God We Trust, and Balavanta, who was a lawyer from Atlanta, Georgia, he was running for mayor at that time. But it didn't go too far. I think devotees who were all quite young, not so experienced, were, just mingling with these sort of mundane environment. It wasn't working out so well. So it was kind of canceled out. But it was a nice attempt. They distributed lots of prasadam during the campaign. All right. Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, Maharaj. We see that Rajarshis, they were like, they regularly took guidance from Brahmanas, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we decide if, we also have senior devotees, we have sannyasis, so how do we decide when to take guidance from them and when to use our own intelligence?
Well, really it should start when we're young. The Kshatriyas that we know and read about in the books, they all started at that age. They were born, really. And by the age of 5, they had to get more serious. It wasn't just like horsing around anymore. And so it started from that age, It's like a private school they went to, by a guru, and that person trained them like anything. So it's supposed to start then. In the formative years, really. Let's say formative, just after formative, 5 and up. But the parents were also expected to play a part in good behavior from the kids. You can give them a green light to do almost anything, almost anything, and let them have a lot of fun, because they'll learn through, that in that kind of atmosphere. They also learn to bump their head and, roll down the stairs. Isn't it, those things happen to all kinds of kids, right? And damage is done, but they learn they heal quickly, right? And so it starts when you're out of the cradle, should be, or in the cradle. Yeah, good. And then, of course, if you are actual Kshatriya, if you are of that material, then you get intensive training for sure. Vaishyas don't need the same kind of training. They kind of usually learn from their dad. Like I remember being in Jagannath Puri some years back, and I went to a clothing store, and the father wasn't there, the owner, but his son was, this young whippersnapper, and he didn't know any English, but he did know quality. Quality. He knew that word. That's all he. And then, if I'm not mistaken, sit, limka. Limka means have a soft drink. Right? And sit down, you sit in that kind of charm that's there. So, and they learn to be a little bit shrewd sometimes, But there wasn't so much a need for them to go through the higher education, But to learn how to deal with money, to be a little bit shrewd with it also, for you I make no profit. You know, kind of that mantra is also there. And yeah, so, but also to be pious and to recognize God. That's the bottom line, common denominator. Everybody must love Krishna. All right. And anything else, Bruce? Yes.
I was wondering what was the king's fault to be cursed to become a Rakshasa? Maybe it's.
I would have to look into the details of
It's
this.
also right to think that when he went to the forest and he found two Rakshasas, he killed one of them, let the other one go. Maybe it was his duty as a king to vanquish.
Well, when you say maybe, there's a little speculation there. I just don't want to go into that realm of maybe, yeah, perhaps. I speculate, you know, I just don't want to go there. And if you want to get more details, then some Puranic stories are there also to sometimes support what's also sometimes here. The Bhagavatam sometimes gets into great detail, sometimes it doesn't. The story of Ram, which is found in this canto, doesn't get into major detail. It just gives a nice synopsis. But because Ram is highlighted as one of the prime avatars, therefore the story is given. And one of the most important things to glean from the Ramayana is that the Lord puts himself into situations where he's feeling emotions, just like we do. And that relationships means fun and separation. A lot of pain comes from relationships. Okay. Anything else? Okay. I guess we can go to the next part of the program. And thank you very much for listening. And bless our little drama troupe that we'll be able to. I just want to say